Everyone thought I was a terrorist and I had to leave.
Beep boop, son. Beep boop.
Cosplayers, what's one cosplay you will never do again and why?
Pyramid head. A whole slew of reasons ranging from it is very hard to move, see, eat, drink, literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Now add in a skirt, dress like bottom and the sword. It is very uncomfortable to walk, hard to sit down, and if the weather makes a slight turn to cold you really have no way to put something on that doesn't look completely ridiculous.
So the costume worked since the helmet was designed to be an extremely uncomfortable one to wear.
Professor X, THRE. Only reason I chose it was because I had torn my LCL and still wanted to attend the event, so I rented a wheelchair so I could get around the event. So many people came up and sat in my lap thinking I was just cosplaying as him. Thank goodness my friend's parents lived close and we went and grabbed ice packs that we threw on my knee so people would quit doing it. Not exactly cosplay, but I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea, everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos, and you hear, haha I found you, at least 800 times. Never again.
Literally anything that small kids will get excited about. I cannot handle that type of pressure.
Not a cosplay, but I volunteered to be a pumpkin-head ghoul at a Legend of Sleepy Hollow attraction. I would jump out, the young kids would run and scream, I would go back to my hiding place, good times. But some of the older kids would begin following me. And punching me. That shit was not cute, it hurt. One kid started throwing rocks at me while a parent took pictures. I seriously wanted to wring that kid's neck, in front of their parents, and then murder the parents. So I almost became a real ghoul, their behavior was so enraging.
Back when the Assassin's Creed games were in their heyday, I cosplayed as one of the assassins with a few of my friends who were also assassins. For example, one of us was Connor, one was Ezio, another was Edward, etc. I spent a lot of time on those costumes and the props, so I have no problem saying they looked good. We got a lot of attention, including getting stopped for literal hours at the PlayStation booth for pictures because a few other assassins joined and we had the whole fam damily. The problem, I am a girl, and a short one at that. My friends who cosplayed with me are tall boys. So at the risk of looking like a pop vinyl next to them, I had to wear boots with a significant heel on them to help give me some height. It was brutal. We only got tickets for the one day and it was hours spent on our feet in poses and we had to stop every few feet for pictures. Don't get me wrong, the pictures were awesome, it made all the time and effort worth it. But I was in absolute agony. At one point when we all took a bathroom break, I took off my boots and put my throbbing feet on the cold tile floor. Judge me all you want, it felt amazing. Thankfully some people who wanted to take pictures with me noticed I was in pain and out of costume and just chatted with me and waited to take pictures until after I got the boots back on. I had to call it quits early on and missed out on looking around as much as I would have liked. Even trying to leave the huge convention center was slow because I kept getting stopped. When I finally got back to the hotel and took my boots off, I had huge blisters on the top of my feet, on my heels, everywhere. It ruined the rest of the weekend for me. A couple of years later I went as Lara Croft from the newer games and got to wear flat, grippy boots with a nice gel insert. It was heaven.
Rorschach. I saw almost nothing under that mask and couldn't enjoy anything.
All white?
Not at all. It has a Rorschach pattern on it and the paint reacts to temperature. If you breath out, some black parts become white and the other way around. Slenderman. I got really into the craze back in the day, being a 6 feet 3 inches skinny dude, and I thought of myself highly for having been a Marble Hornets fan car before the game was ever released. The issue is that I have a big head, nose, so through the morph suit you just see all my features, including my dark brown hair and smooshed nose. I ended up having a sore nose for days, and the soles of my morph suit were extremely darkened from walking around in platform boots for hours on end.
Recruit from Rainbow Six Siege. Everyone thought I was a terrorist and had to leave.
Always have an obviously fake weapon with cosplays like that to show you're not going to light up the place. I did a cosplay of the trademark Ghost Recon character and carried an orange-tipped airsoft rifle with a sling to show I wasn't the next news headline. I also did Ghost and Price and carried the same rifle.
Darth Vader. Wore it for years in 2-hour stints.
Vision is awful and zero skin is shown anywhere, so it's hot. Real hot. Lots of wiring for lights and sound mean there's always something that can, and does go wrong. Lots of kids coming up and randomly pressing buttons on the chest. Plus the cape is hard to control. Now I keep him permanently displayed on a 6 feet 5 inches mannequin.
Stormtrooper. It was custom made to fit me and I was so uncomfortable in it. It was hot and I couldn't see. I also would be lucky if I came out of it without cutting myself.
Well, at least you now know why they can't shoot for shit.
Faye Valentine for Cowboy Bebop. Not because of awkward guy comments, but because of other lady cosplayers that would come up to me and talk about how Faye is a good starter cosplay because I guess it's not intricate enough. I got tired of the condescension.
My daughter's first cosplay was as Ed from Cowboy Bebop. She was 13 at the time. She was super excited but really nervous, until we ran into a Cowboy Bebop group and this beautiful Faye lost her mind and picked up my daughter and started spinning her around. They were both giggling like maniacs. My daughter felt so included and welcomed. So I say poo-poo to those women who bullied you. It takes a pretty amazing person to embody Faye Valentine.
I dressed up as Robot Unicorn from the Flash game and got hit on by 5 French guys. I'm a straight guy. Also glitter everywhere.
I'm a straight guy. To be fair, you were decked out in rainbows and glitter. I can see how that might be a mixed signal.
Lucy Hartfilia from Fairy Tale. So, the costume itself wasn't the problem. It's pretty simple to be fair, but it had other issues. Firstly, I have small boobs and the character doesn't. The amount of people that mentioned this was unreal. Secondly, the character wears a very short skirt. I had a few older men follow me and harass me because I was wearing it. Also, it was mid-October in the north of Scotland, so it was freezing cold.
I once went as Natsu. My friend then wanted to go as Lucy, so we decided we'd just stick together the whole time to make the cosplay better. That deterred any creeps. But yeah, I can totally see the costume being a total pain in the ass. Lucy shows a lot of skin, lol.
Edna, from The Incredibles. I am a short gothic lady and at the time had the same haircut as her. Went as her for a Halloween party and it's my nickname ever since, especially when I'm angry. I fucking hate it.
I was in middle school when the movie came out and I had her hairstyle. I was known as Edna for 3 years. Only my best friend calls me that now.
Snow White. I wore it to a major comic convention and people would not let me walk. Parents were literally shoving their children into my arms and making me take pictures with their kids. Kids were flocking to me, only nice part, and parents were pushing each other around to take a pic with me and their child first. I was trying to take the shuttle to the convention and I had a small crowd around me that would barely shift so I could get into the shuttle. My boyfriend at the time had to literally yank me and run away into the shuttle because we almost missed it. The same thing proceeded to happen in the shuttle, off the shuttle and attempting to walk to the convention, and at the convention. After 2 more hours of this I demanded we go back to the hotel so I could change and actually enjoy the convention. The worst part was people shouting, "It's Cinderella. It's Sleeping Beauty. No, people know I'm Snow White, dang it."
No-Face from Spirited Away. At least not in public. I was accused of racism, asked to leave the subway, then taken aside by a very angry subway security employee and had to frantically find a photo of No-Face to show him to avoid more trouble. In fairness, he then was very concerned and helpful and advised me to take the costume off before I got myself beaten up by someone. My hometown has a very big Arabic population, so I can see why they thought I was being an asshole, what with the black cloak, black paint on my arms and the gold-painted pebbles in my hands.
I dressed up in a pun costume that was a mix between Inspector Gadget and a go-go dancer. I was Go-Go Gadget. I had neon fishnets, string lights in my trench coat, light-up glasses, and all these other rave gadgets. I wouldn't do it again, because wearing Heelys for hours tore up my feet.
Heelys are a way of life. Your feet and knees are too weak for the way of the wheel.
The worst part of wearing Heelys is when the bitches get too wet and I hydroplane.
Master Chief. Every Halloween at school I would wear an over-the-top costume, and for my senior year I wanted to go above and beyond. So I worked overtime to buy Halo 4 Master Chief armor. Only problem was that the armor pieces were made of plastic, so I couldn't sit completely down without breaking the thigh pieces. so I had to go through every class squatting over my seat instead of actually sitting in it. My legs were killing me at the end of the day. Also, my costume was very loud. The sound of plastic rubbing against each other was terrible. Now I usually go for smaller cosplay. This year I went as a vault dweller and I could actually move and stuff.
Any version of Harley Quinn. Nobody knows how to behave around Harley. Not thirsty Harley fanboys. Not Joker cosplayers that are a little too in character. Not neckbeards who want to quiz you on your Harley knowledge. Not other Harley cosplayers who have an issue with what version of Harley you picked or how accurate your cosplay is. Every Harley I've met has been given hell for their cosplay for one reason or another. I only did Lego Harley twice and got minimal shit for it, but I've met multiple Suicide Squad Harleys who were literally suicide baited online and pushed around at cons by people who hated the character. Never again. Edit, instead of just posting a cheesy thanks for the Sylve, how about I expand on my experiences as a Harley cosplayer? I did 2 events as Harley, a convention as an attendee and Harley Quinn Day at a comic book shop as a paid performer. My cosplay was handmade, save for the wig, and lacking in Lego Harley's pads, but the colors were spot on and the wig was on point. At the con, not a whole lot of problems. I had a creepy Joker latch onto me all con, repeatedly getting up on my face and wrapping an arm around me, but at no point was I genuinely fearful due to the fact we were still in a crowd. I had a handful of people ask me which Harley I was, or go out of their way to critique my original design for her before I went on to explain that I was Harley from the Lego movie. At no point did I feel like I should shelf Harley, it wasn't that bad. I had a worse time that weekend when I cosplayed a podcast character that nobody was able to identify correctly. Working the event is what caused me to shelf the cosplay. I was working alongside 2 other Harleys, meeting and greeting people coming in for Harley Quinn merch and taking pictures. We were promised $20 each for 3 hours of our time. Wasn't god-awful. Most cosplay performers do what they do for fun and will do certain events for free if they like the gig. In the email it said we could choose store credit or cash up front. Remember that. I got to talk to the other 2 Harleys between photo ops, and they started telling me horror stories. One mentioned she had been posted on cringe pages, which lead to people hunting her down to harass her and suicide bait her, all because she cosplayed Suicide Squad Harley, and people are quick to call Suicide Squad Harleys fake fans or say they're not real cosplayers. The other mentioned that she was touching up her makeup in the bathroom at con and someone cosplaying the original Harley grilled her, saying she'd never do Suicide Squad Harley because it's trashy. By the end of the event, the owner of the comic shop stiffed us. He gave us each 3 $5 coupons to the shop. I had to pull up the email to prove he'd offered us cash. After all of that, I was done with Harley. It's a shame, I splurged on the wig. Widowmaker. I felt like my tits were gonna pop out of that suit at any second. And the body paint, tattoos were always rubbing off cores of the suit and armor. Also, someone bumped into me and broke the end piece of my gun and a piece of my armor. It was so uncomfortable. Never again.
Ariel. I love the Little Mermaid and I love the costume I made for her mermaid form, but it's just been a cosplay that creeps have ruined for me. I literally got to the point of having to pros aid my bikini top to my chest. And wear pasties in case someone tried to rip it off. I have been groped, had hands stuck down the front and back of my costume, been kissed, and have heard all of the sea-related dirty jokes in existence. I officially decided to stop after one incident at a local convention, where someone was trying to pull off my top and I slapped him hard enough for him to be thrown off balance. He fell into the water feature and hit his head. Police had to be called to figure out if it was self-defense or assault. I hung up my seashell bra and tail after that day. Edit, wow, this blew up more than I was expecting. Thank you all so much for your concern and support. To those asking, no, I didn't press charges. I didn't have the time or money to invest in it, and I was so shaken up from injuring another person that I just wanted to forget it. I won't deny that I sometimes do regret not pursuing it, but it's really hard to think rationally after something like that. The guy was bleeding. I was pretty certain I broke my hand and his face. In the moment, I was scared that I'd be charged with assault, irrational, I know, and that opening a claim against him would result in me facing the repercussions. I can't really distill down all the emotions and fears I experienced in the moment, but I do know that was my biggest concern, next to cost.
I did a One Punch Man cosplay at Comic-Con, I shit you not, about an hour in. A guy that was playing one of the enemy characters from the first season, I believe the leader of the aliens that invaded on that huge ship, came sprinting down the walkway and punched me square in the stomach as hard as he could. I unconsciously tensed my muscles up so that absorbed a lot of the impact, but if though it looks like I was fine, I felt like both my lungs had collapsed and about 3 ribs punctured my stomach.
Jesus. Was that guy on PCP?
IDK, but from what I can tell I probably wasn't the first person he hit because there were security guards already on him after the punch.
Charlie Chaplin. He's easily mistaken for another guy.
I do Charlie Chaplin at Emerald City Comic-Con. I do him with black and white makeup on because even in costume, too easy for people to think. The other guy. You know, Groucho Marx. I kid, but many people do call me Groucho while I'm Chaplin. So last year I did Groucho too. Only to be called Chaplin a great deal.
Nami from One Piece, it was a bikini top. Had a nip slip, which wasn't too bad, and a dude jumped in front of me, let me know, and covered me while I fixed it. The problem is that he then spent the next 2 days thanking me for the experience. Bro, one thank you is weird. 2 days?
Honestly, I'm never going to cosplay any guy character who doesn't have, like, plate armor or something. Binding did not go well for me, even with a legitimate binder made with folks who bind daily, near daily in mind, and I like my lungs working.
Did you cosplay male characters frequently?
I did when I started, back around high school or so. A lot of the guys in shows, movies I liked had simpler costumes that were more beginner-friendly. And there's a lot of guy characters I like, so I was inclined to just go with my favorites. Then by the time I was 20 or so I started to be like, wow, okay, between asthma and compression this is not a good time.
Junkrat. Never again. The one time I went, I had my best buddy as Lucio. I mean, the cosplay worked perfectly. I have a prosthetic hand, amputee struggles XD, have a British accent, it sounds Australian enough if I try, and I stood at 6'3". My buddy had to keep people from touching my arm and asking if it was real. One time, I got so annoyed that I just took it off and waved my stump. Plus, the spray paint for the prosthetic was a pain to scrub off, and the wig was very itchy. Though there was a group there with various other Overwatch characters and we had fun taking photos.
Batman. Some kid pulled my cape and it took my helmet and back piece out. They were all one piece of armor and I couldn't put them back together.
Edna Mode was right, capes are nothing but trouble.
Star Wars cosplays are frustrating to do. Because no matter what character you are, you'll get some dipshit who starts a conversation with you and decides to go in depth on why Disney ruined their childhood. If someone is expressing their passion for something, don't complain about the merits of it to them. No joke, I cosplayed as Kanan Jarrus, the Jedi Knight character in Rebels, and someone decided to stop me in a hallway at a convention and give what I can only describe as a lecture on why The Clone Wars is better than Rebels, while I was cosplaying a fucking Rebels character. Had the same thing happen when I did a Rogue One cosplay, Krennic, where someone tried to convince me that Revenge of the Sith is better, despite my repeated attempts to just say, okay, and bow out of the conversation. I'm working on a Mandalorian cosplay now and already dreading what I'll have to hear next. Let people enjoy things.
Never again will I cosplay full anime plate armor. I went as Gilgamesh from Fate Stay Night, all 3D printed, 8 unrelenting hours trapped in a plastic cocoon. Skin unable to breathe, pinching, serious chafing, huge welts and blisters all over, and on the way home I turned in a funny way, snap went the armor, and by that point I had enough. I took everything off, threw it in the nearest bin and made the remaining journey home barefoot in cycling shorts and a red cape.
I dressed as Link and got the normal "Oh hi Zelda," which I think is funny, and laughed it off, but also got a lot of nerdy guys questioning me about my dedication to The Legend of Zelda. Shit like, you're not a true fan if you didn't play, insert their fave Zelda game here, and if I stated that I have indeed played it, they would then question every detail about the game to prove it. A girl could dress up as anyone and get harassed, though honestly,